What's up everyone, it's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and if you're a big JRPG guy like myself, I have both good news and bad news for you. Let's start with the good news first. Well, it's official. Square Enix have announced that Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age is actually officially coming to the West. It's coming to America as well as Europe, and it now has a release date. That release date is September 4th, 2018. Personally, I can't wait. It's going to be nice to get a proper new entry in the Dragon Quest series instead of one of the old ones just ported over to like the 3DS or, remade or whatever. But here is the big thing. It's coming to PS4 and PC. Obviously, I'm a PC main. Granted, I have all the consoles as well, but PC is my preferred platform. So surprisingly, they actually announced it for the PC because even though it did release last year in Japan, it only released on PS4 and Nintendo 3DS in 2017 in Japan. So the surprise announcement of PC is always welcome, and to be honest, at the same time, it is and isn't expected. PC is the biggest gaming platform of all time. It's got over 3 times the player base of any comparable console, and many developers, especially Square Enix, have been shown a lot of JRPG love to PC users over the last couple of years. Something I've actually talked about many a time, and I'm very, very grateful for. I own tons of JRPGs on the PC now that they've been released. It also marks the first Dragon Quest game to be released on PC. But that's kind of where the good news stops, and now I have to move on to the bad news. So if you're a Nintendo owner, be it a Nintendo Switch or a Nintendo 3DS, you are actually kind of affected by this. Now, you may be wondering how you're being affected by this. Well, originally when Dragon Quest XI was first announced, even pre-Japanese release, they had said that for the Japanese market they were developing a PS4, 3DS and Nintendo Switch version. That Nintendo Switch version has since gone dark, with the exception of, yes, we're still making it. And even when the game releases here in Europe and America over a year later after the Japanese release, there's still no Nintendo Switch version in either region, be it the West or the East. Now, Square Enix have confirmed that the Switch version is still in development and it is still planned for release in the West as well. But there's a lot of caveats, and that is the main point of this video I want to make. So the whole purpose of this video is about architecture and power and where the Switch sits in relation to everything else in the gaming market as it stands. So like I mentioned already, it is confirmed that the Switch version is being developed still for the Western markets. And here's what Square Enix had to say when it came to the whole situation about the announcement of the West and the upcoming alleged Switch version. We are also developing the Switch version for Europe and North America, but development is expected to take a long time from a technological standpoint as well, so we still have a long way to go until its release. Our aim with Dragon Quest XI and the Dragon Quest brand is to grow the audience in the West. From a business point of view, it made strategic sense to release the 3DS version in Japan in 2017. For the West, in 2018, it made the most sense to focus on the PlayStation 4 and Steam PC platforms. So right there in their first sentence of that statement that I read today, I'll read it again here real quick. We are also developing the Switch version for Europe and North America, but development is expected to take a long time from a technological standpoint as well, and have confirmed that it will not release on the Switch in 2018. Now, before we go any further into the whole power and architecture situation, when this game was first announced, even before the Japanese release, and they saw the whole thing with the Switch version coming later, we of course had the usual fanboy arguments. I'm just going to get them out of the way straight away. 1. Oh, Sony paid for exclusivity. That makes no sense considering that it released in Japan on the same day on the Nintendo 3DS. It released in mid-2017 when there was approximately 3 or 4 million Switch units sold worldwide, less than 1 million of those in Japan. But of course, oh, Sony are afraid of the Switch. Because, fanboy's gonna fanboy. So they just claimed they paid exclusivity for it. And on top of that, the other one floating around the whole time was, oh, Square Enix are delaying the Switch version on purpose because it will completely cannibalize the sales of the PS4 and 3DS versions. Again, completely idiotic. But what it does come down to is the fact that the Nintendo Switch is obviously less powerful than all the competition, than the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One X, the PlayStation 4 Pro, and of course the almighty PC. From a power, computing, and graphical standpoint, this is absolutely 100% fact. This cannot be argued in any way, shape, or form. This is all finite hardware, and the stats and hardware specs speak for themselves. Now, real quick, I want to say as well, this isn't a video to bash the Switch or to bash the architecture or the lack of power in the Switch. I'm just pointing this out objectively and what this could mean for the Switch going forward. It's something I've already said multiple times, but I feel like this is a perfect example to highlight it. So we all know that the Switch is considerably less powerful, no denying that, it's 100% fact. But another big thing to worry about is the architecture changes. And Square Enix have even said it in their own statement. It's expected to take a long time from a technological standpoint. It's not as simple as just going in and turning down a setting from medium to low. It's not as simple as going in to the resolution and changing it from 1920 by 1080 down to 1280 by 720. You don't just copy and paste the game and the code and everything over. Considerable work has to be done in many of these games. Obviously, the bigger the game and the bigger the scope of the game, the more and more work needs to be done in porting over. And the fact that the Switch is considerably less powerful means things have to be changed in order to get them working and working properly with adequate performance as well. So not only do you have to port this over and change it that way, but you also have to change other things when the graphical settings, the performance. It's a whole mishmash of an ordeal that they actually have to deal with. Which comes to the architecture. Now yes, the Tegra X1 is a considerable far cry forward from how varied platforms used to be. You look back at, say, the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, they were basically 100% different, which increased things like development costs, development times, and the effort put into certain ports. Mass Effect 2 on PlayStation 3 ring a bell to anyone? Maybe even Bayonetta on PS3. But now here we are in this generation of consoles, or well, can you even really call it this generation? Because the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 are actually 8th generation consoles, and the Nintendo Switch is actually a 9th generation console. Anyway, let's stick with here we are in 2017/2018. And there are 4 main platforms to game on: Xbox One, PS4, PC, and Nintendo Switch. 3 of these platforms all use the same architecture, one of which does not. Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC all use x86 based architecture, whereas the Nintendo Switch does not. When you factor in the less capable hardware of the Nintendo Switch, it becomes even more of an issue. So let me use Dragon Quest XI as an example one last time here as well. Many people have complained that the Switch is an old port machine. You get ports of games from the Xbox 360, a port of games from the PlayStation 3, or ports of games that have been on the PC, Xbox One and PS4 for several years. Well, now you're getting late ports of existing and upcoming games because of technological reasons. And many fanboys are already blaming Square Enix on this, saying that all versions should be developed and released at the same time. Well, guess what? The PlayStation 4 and PC versions will be completed by September 4th, assuming no delay, of course. So if those versions are completely developed, finished, and translated by September 4th, and the Switch version isn't coming till further on in 2019, do you expect them to just sit there and not release these games to the people who want them because Nintendo made questionable hardware choices? But anyway, we're going to start wrapping up the video here. This is the kind of thing you can expect from later Nintendo Switch games, if they even get them at all for that matter. Doom of 2016, for example, okay, I'll give that one a little bit of a pass in the sense that it couldn't have released at the same time because the Switch wasn't out. But let's look at Wolfenstein 2. The Switch was already out by then, and Bethesda already knew that it was coming out. But look, late port. So between late ports of already existing games, not getting a significant amount of third-party games, and now late ports of upcoming titles, I really hope this highlights the issue that I'm trying to bring up. Now, some people don't care, some people aren't affected by this, which is perfectly fine. But this just highlights that there is an issue and why it's an issue. So let me know in the comment section below your thoughts and opinions on the whole situation. Do you think it's Nintendo's fault? Do you think it's Square Enix's fault? Do you think it's both companies' fault? Do you for some reason think it's Sony's fault? For whatever misguided fanboy reason. What version will you be getting, if at all? And has the much later 2019 Nintendo Switch version swayed your purchasing decision in any way, shape or form? How do you think the situation is going to play out from a hardware and architecture standpoint going forward? And how will that affect you? Let me know all that good stuff in the comment section below. Hit the appropriate button to let me know how I did in a video. Maybe even hit the like button and turn on that little notification bell for notifications of all videos and future live streams. And I will see you on the rest of the videos in my channel.